I've been asked to speak of my own dominant concern as a theologian. I think my interest is focused primarily on revelation, the way in which God manifests himself freely in history, and especially in Jesus Christ. So I'm interested in the problem of revelation, and I'm interested in faith as a response to revelation, not simply as a subjective attitude, but as an assent and commitment to that which God reveals to be true. I'm interested in the church also, but primarily in the church as a teacher. The problems that arise in connection with the continuity of church teaching, and who teaches, who speaks for the church, the question of magisterium, questions like that have concerned me a good deal over the years. In terms of method, I have myself used very often what I call a method of models. I tend to read a good deal of what other people have said, and then to try to see where they agree and disagree, and to locate the theologians in different groups. As many groups as is required, but I generally try to settle for about 5 groups, which is a good manageable number, and force people a little bit into one group or another. So I deal in my book on models of the church with 5 perspectives on the church, 5 typical approaches to ecclesiology. In my book on models of revelation, I deal with 5 models of revelation, 5 ways of looking upon revelation, which one finds reflected in the authors, dealing mainly with 20th century authors, both Protestant and Catholic. I found the method of models works very well for me. It puts the questions very acutely. It makes me read and pay attention to the leading voices that have spoken on the question before, thinkers that I cannot dismiss. And so I think the method of models makes one pay attention to the truth that is mediated by people who have a perspective rather different from one's own. One has to pay attention to Karl Barth or Karl Rahner or Balthasar or whoever, even though they don't agree among themselves. One has to note what they have to say and where they do agree and where they disagree. And so in order to tabulate the agreements and disagreements, I find it easy to arrange them in clusters or groups of models. And then that's only the first stage of the work, because after one's got the models, one has to take a position and say, well, where's the truth of the matter? Who's right and who's wrong? Or to what extent is who right and this person right and that person wrong? And how can we get a theology that coherently puts together the best things that these different theologians have been saying, even while they disagree with one another. So that's a task for the systematic theologian, to go on and take it beyond the models to try to synthesize a doctrine. I do that more in my models of revelation than I did in my models of the church. My models of the church was intended to be a somewhat open book to be followed, hopefully, by a systematic ecclesiology that I never got around to writing. But basically I'm not content with leaving it at the diversity of the models, but from carrying it forward to some kind of synthesis. So I think the method of models is good, provided it's not abused. Some people abuse it, I think, and they're saying, this is my model and to hell with all the others. And they say, well, I'm a community person, I don't care about the institution or so forth. And I think that is the wrong approach. They are very deliberately contrary to the approach that I'm recommending in my own method of models. So those would be some of the principal things that I've been working on in the course of my own theological career for the last 40 years or so.